what a rush!
You are now listening to The Couch on 24/7 Miami with your hosts, Chubby Dubby,
baby.
Clem December,
Big Clem. December, it's Clem time.
and your boy Coleman.
Coleman, I've had the most absurd nightmare. I was poor and no one liked me.
Let's go. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. It.
And welcome back to Couch. It is November 14th. It is the middle of the NFL season. We're dead smack in the middle. We just got done with week 10.
And we are coming to you live on 247miami.tv, as well as simulcasting on YouTube.
Back on 247. Also on the TuneIn app. So it is good quality on the TuneIn app and 247miami.com. Also, we are on our YouTube channel.
.tv, not .com.
.tv. Heard, correction. Okay, so it is just me and Coleman right now, but Manny will not be walking through that door any minute like he has the last two times. He will not make it today. Traffic is
a B word.
He lives very far away. Okay, but anyways, so last night, in my opinion, Carolina Panthers put the Dolphins to rest for the 2017 season.
The proverbial nail in the coffin for you?
Yeah, it was not good. All year, as bad as we were playing, we were still 4-2, and then we were 4-3, and then we were 4-4, but we were right outside of the playoff hunt. But man, we got demolished again, and it's just looking like it's gonna keep happening, and the Dolphins are just not anywhere close right now.
So we didn't have a chance to talk last week about the Raiders game, but we talked about the Jets game, and I've sort of been hinting that I thought that this was a fraudulent team for the whole entire time.
You've pretty much been saying it all season.
And if you watch the offense, the last ranked offense in the league, they scored the least points, they rushed the least, they passed the second least. They're 31st or worse in almost every statistical offensive category. And it's just like, it's such a bland vanilla offense from somebody who's supposed to be an offensive genius. I just don't get what I'm watching. I honestly don't.
Right. You mentioned offensive genius, and I think that's why I kept expecting them to get it turned around and Jay Cutler to get his groove on. Remember, he wasn't expecting to play this year until Tannehill went down. So I know he still played. He was still there for most of training camp because not luckily, but the Tannehill injury happened early in training camp. So he was there the whole training camp, but still he wasn't mentally prepared to play this year. So I was giving him some time, but here we are. It was week 10. I mean, 3 weeks in a row, Miami had every single primetime platform. Thursday, Sunday night, Monday night. Once.
It was uninspiring every single time.
At least the Raiders game was close, but man, we lost the other two about almost 90 to less than 20.
Right.
So
45-21 was the final. And so we talk about the offense, but let's talk about, I thought that the bigger story was what exactly happened to this defense. They weren't able to create any turnovers. They weren't able to get any sacks. They allowed 548 yards of offense, which, were you aware of this? Carolina Panthers, franchise record. They've never gotten that many yards before in a game.
Kiko Alonso was wearing roller skates.
Okay.
Twice Christian McCaffrey just made a very simple cutback, and it looked like Kiko Alonso had no reason being on the NFL football field.
Christian McCaffrey, who largely has been a disappointment so far up to this,
Oh, you want to talk about disappointments that look good against the Dolphins? How about Jonathan Stewart?
Yeah.
I dropped him in fantasy because he hasn't done anything. Oh, here's 110 yards.
Right. Devin Funchess. we're going to drop on you, Devin Funchess. 2 touchdowns, 90 yards. Cam Newton's going to rush 5 times for 95 yards. Granted, one of them was a 69-yard
before he got hurt, Curtis Samuels caught 5 of 7 targets. Like they were having anything they wanted last night.
Whatever they wanted to.
And I mean, really, Kiko Alonso really stood out, man. He had boys on the first drive. It was 3rd and 8, and they just dumped it out to him, and it was just 1-on-1, and it wasn't even close. And then the touchdown run, again, Kiko Alonso right there in the backfield, and he just made one move, simple move, and Kiko was not ready for it, and he just over pursued every time.
The Panthers look like the 2007 16-0 New England Patriots.
Right. Made Devin Funchess look like Randy Moss.
Yeah. I mean, just normal everyday stuff. Monday night, you show up, you literally have the biggest stage for football, and you show up and just, fart on the field.
Okay. You mentioned Adam. See, for me, Adam Gase seemed like all we have, right? It's like Adam Gase's system is what Jay Cutler just needs to get comfortable with, and in Gase we trust. I've been saying that. A lot of people have been saying that. You, not so much.
So I've been trying to have his back and saying, okay, it's a different system. You have to give it time, but I just don't like the way that he's handled everything and the way that it changes the way that he handles things from week to week. So, okay, it's 1 week it's his system and it takes time and they just lost their quarterback and you guys got to relax. Then the next week it's all the players because they're not doing their homework. And then guess what? Jay Ajayi, we're going to ship him out of here because I'm not getting along with him. But then after that, and part of what he said about the whole Jay Ajayi thing was it's about effort. And he didn't say specifically about him, but before the trade, it was about people's effort. It was about people not doing their homework. Now, after this win, it's not about effort. You can't say that it's about effort because everybody on the field is trying and he's happy with the package.
What did he say last night? Did you hear? I didn't listen to him talk.
Yeah, he said you can't say that it's about effort with this team. He likes the package that he has. They said, are you going to look at any sort of free agents or look into any sort of trades? And he said, I'm not going to make any sort of moves to do anything like that. I wouldn't do anything like that. Oh, hey, Jay Ajayi, how you doing over in Philly?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's talking out of both sides of his mouth, and I just don't know. I don't understand what I'm looking at. And he's the play caller. The play calling duties to somebody else because it seems like to me maybe he might be a little bit overwhelmed. There comes a point where you have to stop with the jet sweeps and the halfback tosses when you're down and it's not going anywhere and the left side of the line is not blocking and not moving anybody off of the defensive side of the ball.
When they haven't gone anywhere for 10 weeks.
Yeah, just keep on trying.
Yeah, bubble screens.
Did you know Kenyon Drake's touchdown was the first rushing touchdown for the Miami Dolphins this season? The first one. They got it in the 9th game that they played.
Right, and you would think you haven't got any rushing touchdowns, you would get an easy one. No, it was like 70 yards.
Yeah, of course. He breaks that one. As I'm sitting there laughing, going, ha, 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 they're going to keep on trying to run it, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, of course, he breaks one.
That's the only way they can
see.
Yeah, that's the only way they can get a big play because Color can't hit anything, And another thing, Color. Have you ever heard of like setting your feet for a throw? Is every single throw that this guy has to make has to be off his back foot?
Yeah, or he does like a little bunny hop in the air and then decides to let it go, and it's 5 yards ahead of the receiver. It's cool. It's all good.
All right,
but hey, they got the Bucks next week, so
hey, it's Fitzmagic,
right? So you know what they're going to do is they're going to win this game. They're going to get back to 5-5, 500, and re-energize the fan base to root for nothing once again.
Right. That's what's going to happen. If they beat the Bucks, trust me, I will come in next week saying we're back.
I already know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
I'm clairvoyant.
Yeah. Okay. So rest in peace for now.
Until next week, until they beat the Bucks.
Okay. All right. There are also 31 other teams in the NFL.
30.
Okay, well, you're saying because we just talked about the Panthers too.
Yeah,
Okay, we did talk about the Panthers. Okay, so yeah,
semantics.
So around the rest of the NFL, it is the NFC is all the talk because there are 5 teams, count them 5, that have 7 wins or better. So the number 1 seed has 8 wins, and there is a NFC wild card with 7 wins. And we'll start with the Eagles were off. All right, we're not going to forget about them, but they didn't play this week.
But the Eagles, while having a bye week, gained a game on every single opponent within the division because they all lost.
They all lost.
So
Excellent.
they didn't even play, and they still went up in the division.
They won. They did win.
Technically a half a game because they didn't play, but still.
Right. But the team that did play that just matched Eagles' 7-game win streak was the Saints, 7-0. And also about the Saints, it's not news if you can look at their schedule. Their 2 losses are to the Vikings, who are 7-2, and the Patriots.
Earth-shattering news.
If I could get it.
Earth-shattering news.
So the Saints are for real, I think. And part is Drew Brees is not doing anything.
Right. And so the way that they won against the Bills on Sunday was they scored 6 rushing touchdowns, and Drew Brees even had one of those.
Drew Brees even had one, and he had no passing touchdowns. Trust me, I know he's my fantasy quarterback.
Right. So, but the thing about the way that they're winning is they're winning the way that you have to win when you get into the playoffs.
Right.
When it's cold, when the weather stinks, when you can't fling the ball all over the place, they're doing it already. They're doing what teams aim to be able to do in February, going into February.
They also have a defense now, which in the last 3 years, I think I can remember them giving up 50 points at least 7 times.
Right. And where did the defense in the running game come from? Like, that's not what this team is about.
Right.
It has been traditionally.
Right, exactly. It was always, if they're going to win, they're going to score 45. Now they're scoring 47 without Drew Brees, and it's a good thing too. Obviously, that's the formula for winning is a running game and a defense. And not only do they have one running back, they have 2 of them who even Kamara went over 100 yards rushing on Sunday. But what's good is now Drew Brees is not throwing it 40 times a game. So if they do get in a shootout, he'll be fresh.
Yeah, I mean, his arm's definitely not going to be tired.
He's not. Drew Brees is 38 years old. He doesn't need to be out there throwing it 30, 40 times a game. So this is great for the Saints. I mean, I think the NFC might end up going through New Orleans because I think that Drew Brees is better than Carson Wentz, or he's more experienced. And I think when it comes down to like clinching and or if the Saints do have to go to Philly, I don't know. I think the Saints might be a Super Bowl team. I think that's everyone is on the Eagles right now, and I'm like looking at the Saints like, dude, they're doing damage and they're doing it in ways they're not traditionally used to doing it, which, like I bring up, we still know Drew Brees can throw it if he needs to.
Yeah.
So it's like they got the running game too now.
I would say so. The Eagles actually made additional moves on top of getting Jay Ajayi a couple of weeks ago. They just signed, and I don't have the names in front of me, but they just signed a linebacker and an offensive lineman who they basically said, we're doing this because we're making a run at it. Like, we need a little bit of help for our offensive line. We need a little bit of help at linebacker. Let's go ahead and get some more pieces here and see what we can do.
I think that was the 100% move with Jay Ajayi this year. I don't guaranteed to re-sign him after this year.
Right.
I think that the Dolphins had their issues with his knees. I think the Eagles round pick because they're like, look, we're not going to use him after this year, so we're not going to give up too much for him. I mean, if they were gonna try and retain him, you would think the Dolphins could have gotten more out of him, but maybe there wasn't really a market, and Philly was like, look, we're not going to keep him long term.
But
they're definitely stockpiling for a Super Bowl run.
That's what they're doing. But if they weren't high on him, then, I mean, what does it matter what they give up for them? If the Dolphins are willing to take a 4th round pick, then hey, we'll take a 4th round. I mean, take our 4th round pick. Even if.
But I'm saying if the Dolphins are like, no, it's a 2nd round pick, the Eagles don't do it.
Oh yeah, I don't know if anybody would have,
right.
But but the NFC definitely. So we have, what is it? The Saints, Vikings, the Rams, and then what is there? One other team?
Saints, Eagles, Vikings, Rams,
Panthers.
Yeah, no, but there's 7 wins.
Okay, I don't know which would.
There's 5 of them: Eagles, Saints, Vikings, Rams. There's another one from one of those divisions.
Seahawks.
I guess so.
I don't know. This is terrible.
Oh no, yeah. Panthers have 7 wins now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we already talked about them, but there was a game in the NFC between Green Bay and Chicago.
Shattering news.
Did you see what happened in the Green Bay Chicago game? Not a very interesting game. Doesn't have a whole lot of playoff ramifications. It doesn't really matter who wins or loses this game. Green Bay won 23-16. But John Fox sabotaged himself.
Oh, yeah.
Again.
What a move.
In the second quarter, so I'll set it up for you. Benny Cunningham, the running back, took a short pass, roughly about 23, 24 yards, depending on who is making the call. He was ruled out of bounds as he was reaching for the pylon. They gave him the ball first and goal at the 1 yard line. John Fox says, instead of taking a 1 yard opportunity, I'm going to go ahead and throw a challenge flag. They reviewed it, and it was discovered that Cunningham was actually bobbling the ball when he touched the pylon. Touchback, Packers ball, first and 10 on the 20.
So, yeah, I did see that. That's amazing.
And did you see his face when they told him?
No. Well, was he like absolutely out of his mind?
No. It was like.
Okay, so I saw him absolutely out of his mind before he challenged it.
Okay.
And it was just like, what are you so upset about? Just throw the challenge flag.
So there was no realm of possibility that the outcome would have been what was about to happen. It's either at the 1 or it's a touchdown. There was his brain could not comprehend.
Never considered it.
That it was about to become the Packers ball. And so they told him that, and he was just like, he sort of just shut down like a robot. Like somebody turned off the off button, and he was just like,
All right, guys, let's go down out of here.
Yeah. Some other things. The Rams, like we said, we talked about them. They won over Houston. I don't know necessarily how impressive that is. Houston with Tom Savage is not very good. Cowboys. I think they're toast.
Ooh, because the Falcons aren't that great, and the Falcons really took care of them. The Falcons, we'll see. Falcons haven't been that impressive this year, and they pretty much – that was in Dallas, right? Or was it in Atlanta?
That was in Atlanta.
Okay. Either way, yeah, not a good showing.
They scored 7 points.
Yeah, and that was in the first quarter. They didn't score after the first quarter.
Right. I think that was the first drive of the game.
They obviously Zeke is out, but also they were clearly missing Tyron Smith.
Yes.
Who Adrian Claiborne just ate that left tackle for breakfast.
And they kept on trying to rotate. And like they were trying to even like, hey, tight end, extra tight end, throw him over there. It doesn't matter. Double team doesn't matter. Like there was nothing that they could do.
And you saw about Adrian Claiborne's cha-ching.
No.
He had an incentive for $750,000 on the season for 8 sacks. Went into the game with 2, had 6 sacks, and then
cha-ching.
And now he's only 2 sacks away now from 10, which is another $500,000.
Nice.
So that'll be 1.25. It's funny how that stuff works, man. It's just like they get paid to do their job, and then they get paid even more. Well, I guess it's like a bonus. I guess every job has them.
Yeah,
but that's a lot of bonuses.
It's not. Yeah, I mean, but they make a lot of money anyways. But so
here's more.
I think that trouble. Obviously, the Ezekiel Elliott is a big thing, but the left tackle is a huge thing, and Sean Lee being out. They now said that he's going to miss a few games. That's going to really hurt the defense as well. I think, especially with the Eagles at the top of that division and how competitive the NFC is going to be, I don't know. I think Dallas might be done.
Yeah, and also, in Zeke's first game out, you would want to see Dak Prescott maybe look, put the game on his shoulders, have a real impressive game, maybe throw a couple touchdowns, maybe like to see Des Bryant step up. None of that happened.
None of it happened.
He played, right, Des Bryant?
He absolutely played.
Yeah, so
it could only tell from the first quarter.
There's no reason. Yeah, there's no reason if Dak Prescott is really supposed to be good, and obviously we know what Des Bryant can do. There's no reason it should look like that without Zeke.
Yeah, I mean they have Fadden, Rod Smith, from this is bad radio.
Dunbar?
No, from Washington. Alfred Morris.
Oh,
they
yeah.
got 3 somewhat capable backs that they could rotate out, but I mean, none of them were able to do anything. So I don't know. We'll see.
And then the last, we'll touch on the Vikings real quick. I think they look pretty good. They are going to have a decision to make. Has not yet announced on Keenum or Bridgewater.
Ooh, did you see Teddy Bridgewater getting a little choked up on the sideline?
I did.
I like that.
That's happy for him. That's
like
That's obviously he hasn't played football in over a year. He's overcome a lot of obstacles. A lot of people were saying that was one of like the most unreal knee injury anyone's ever seen.
Yeah.
He pretty much tore everything. So yeah, that was nice to see him back. I'm actually a little surprised though that having been activated only a week ago, having only been on the practice field, from what I saw, just starting to run on the practice field like 2 weeks before he was activated. You would think that would take a little bit more time and that he wouldn't be ready to start, but they do have that decision. I say ride the hot hand.
I think that's what they're going to end up doing. They'll ride Keenum until he...
At least until he falls off a little bit, because he's coming fresh off a 4-touchdown game.
Yeah, I mean, you don't do that.
And, I mean, he's been a starter in the league, so it's not like he's just merely this backup that is like, if you've got anyone better, start him. Like, no, he's been a
Keenum.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, he played for the Rams.
He played for the Rams. So he played for the Houston. He played for Houston.
Yeah. So this is probably the best situation that he's ever been in,
and he looks good.
And he looks good in it. So I think you have.
And
to
hey, listen. I mean, no, I'm not. I don't know. I'm not a shot at Adam Thielen, but like he's making Adam Thielen look good, and Stephon Diggs, like these aren't.
They're pretty good. Adam Thielen got paid big money this offseason.
Did he? I thought he was still like a second year, third year guy.
He just got paid.
Well, still, I mean, he's doing that with Casey Keenum. Like maybe he's the good one.
Yeah,
it's like who, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah.
Is Casey Keenum making him look good, or are they making like Casey Keenum look good?
Casey Keenum, like Casey Kasem.
Casey Keenum, Case Keenum.
All right. We're going to get into a little bit of a thing called Quick Hits coming up next. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This upcoming segment is brought to you by Now Trending, News with a Twist. Every Monday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. live on this station, 247miami.tv. Trending 247 on Twitter. Now Trending, News with a Twist. And coming up next is one of our favorite segments, Quick Hits. hits.
That is right. Quick hits is where we just shoot it around a bunch of random topics. I will start with something that's been an interesting story is the Martellus Bennett situation.
Oh, yes.
Where he was released by the Packers because they said that he, took surgery advice without disclosure.
He told them that he needed to have surgery, like basically went off on his own and determined that he had to have surgery without disclosing it to them.
Right. And he also has beef with the doctor, saying that the doctor was forcing him to play through the injury, and he thought the injury was getting worse, and that's why he needed surgery. But what's odd is after they release him, he signs with the Patriots, doesn't have surgery, and is out there playing.
Plays on Sunday night.
So that is kind of I like Martellus Bennett. I like the Bennett brothers. I think they're good in the communities. They're like philanthropists, and Martellus Bennett draws coloring books. I like the guys, but this is kind of sketchy. It's like, it looks like you more kind of just wanted out of Green Bay.
Yeah, and so that brings the problem with it is
I don't think anyone knew he had a shoulder surgery until Aaron Rodgers maybe had a shoulder surgery.
He didn't have a shoulder surgery
or a shoulder injury.
Yeah, who even knows if he has the injury? That's the whole
No,
problem.
That's what I'm saying. Martellus Bennett didn't have this injury.
Oh yeah. The injury.
Until Aaron Rodgers got injured.
Right,
well, Aaron Rodgers didn't get air quote injured. He really got injured.
Right. So, but Martellus Bennett doesn't want to play for a team that has Brett Hundley as the quarterback.
Doesn't want to play for that team that's going nowhere. He already has mentioned that he was going to retire after this year.
Yeah, I mean it's shady, and the problem is the ethics of it. So, what's to stop any other person on any team if the situation is not going right from being like, well, I guess I'm not going to play anymore. I'm going to have surgery, so you guys may as well cut me.
Yeah,
and then my shoulder's better.
Yeah,
because now I'm on the Patriots.
Yeah,
so but I don't think that there's anything that they can really do about it because they would have to prove that he had to have shoulder surgery, and they're the ones that released him. You know what I mean? Like,
right? Yeah, they released him like with cause, so that they wouldn't have to pay him,
right,
and stuff like that.
And I mean, they're definitely going to get that signing bonus back from him now,
right?
But still, it's weird. It's a weird situation. And like I said, like I like Martellus Bennett. I think he's a cool guy. He's a funny guy.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little bit of a shady move.
Yeah, it's pretty shady. And I mean, so
but okay, but what about the doctor? Like, was the doctor the doctor was getting a lot of backing from people. Jordy Nelson came out and said doesn't sound like him.
Tom Crabtree, Aaron Rodgers even said something. They've all said like they've never had any issues with this guy.
Right. So yeah, Martellus Bennett. I'll go again.
No, I got one.
Okay, please.
Okay, so we're going to go back into baseball, even though we've been out of baseball for a couple of weeks since the World Series. Are you familiar with former Marlins and Red Sox pitcher Josh Beckett?
I am, yes. He led us to a World Series.
Yeah, well, he was arrested in Texas late last month, intoxication, after he jumped on stage and tackled a country music singer while he was performing at an open mic night. An assault investigation has since been opened, but Beckett's attorney said the whole thing was just horseplay.
I was gonna say, was it assault or just like it's my buddy, boys being boys?
The guy would like to press charges. He didn't think that it was just horseplay.
He did not think it was just horseplay.
Josh Beckett thought it was his buddy. I'll go tackle him on stage while he's playing guitar. Not feel the same way.
Listen, horseplay is not always a two-way road, okay?
But this is, I mean, it's just kind of a funny story. Like, the pitcher tackled some guy at an open mic night because he was drunk.
Yeah, another legal issue that probably won't really go anywhere. LiAngelo Ball, the Ball brother that, frankly, no one in the world cares about him.
It doesn't seem like it.
He and two other freshmen were in China. UCLA was in China, and they got shot. They got caught shoplifting from a Louis Vuitton, among other stores. They didn't only hit one store. It was like 4 different stores, but one of them was a Louis Vuitton store, which I don't even know how you steal from a place like that. I feel like everything will be behind locked glass.
I don't know. I've never been in one.
But so they were like put in jail for a few hours, and then they were being held on house arrest in some luxury hotel. They didn't travel back to the States with the team. They just traveled back to the States today. It's kind of a little bit of a mess for them.
Some earth-shattering news here.
And I've heard that
a place you don't want to get arrested is probably China. Earth-shattering news.
Yeah, they're not too lenient with foreign criminals.
Yeah, maybe don't get arrested in communist countries.
Yeah, and so rumblings I've actually heard of cut from the team. Like, I don't know, maybe LiAngelo's name is big enough. You can't cut the other two and not cut LiAngelo.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a sweeping punishment, whatever it is.
Maybe LiAngelo Ball's name is big enough to save all three of them.
Could be.
But I think if it wasn't LiAngelo Ball, like, these kids would be cut from this team. UCLA is like international brand.
Yeah.
It's a Harvard, it's Yale. That's a bad look going international. And you know what I mean? If it wasn't LiAngelo Ball, all three of these kids would probably be cut and let go from school.
If it wasn't LiAngelo Ball and the president, because the president was asked to get involved. I don't know if he actually did anything or not. But if this was three random people or three people that played for Delaware State, do you think that they would have gotten,
off so easy?
I mean, I don't know. I'm asking the question. Like, I don't know. Does it have something to do with because he's on the Ball family or because it's UCLA?
Because it's UCLA.
It could be. I mean, you never know. Again, that's speculation. Who knows?
Yeah, but it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so are you familiar with a bodybuilder named Rich Piana?
I am not.
Okay, he was on Tosh.0 one time, really big bodybuilder. He used to make YouTube videos about eating and working out and stuff like that. Fortunately, Rich passed away on August 25th. An autopsy was done, and it was essentially inconclusive, although it revealed that he did have heart disease. One other finding in the death report was that Piana snorting pre-workout powder like it was cocaine.
Oh, no.
Yes. Piana's girlfriend told investigators that the suspicious powder found in the apartment was lemon lime concrete pre-workout, and he snorted it all the time. This contributed directly to his death, but I think it's hard to tell.
I think that's not just streamlining that stuff.
And rest in peace, Rich.
Rest in peace. But dude, you were living a rough life. It sounds like snorting pre-workout, and just getting after it.
I mean, I get amped up enough just drinking like probably 3/4 of a dose.
Right.
I'm
I'm
like the ultimate warrior running around the ring.
No, I stopped taking that stuff because I would drink it how you're supposed to, and it would not make me feel right.
Yeah.
Let alone snorting a line of it.
Also,
rest in peace, Roy Halladay.
Yeah.
He's a major league pitcher, pitched like 14 seasons. He's like one of 7 guys to have a perfect game and a no-hitter. He's one of like 3 guys to win the Cy Young in both leagues. He was involved in a plane crash in the Gulf, right off the coast of West Florida. So Doc Halladay and who were we just talking about?
Rich Piana
and Doc Halladay.
Rest in peace, guys. Prayers up.
Onto amateur football.
The NCAA.
The old NCAA, not so amateur, but that's what we call it. The Miami Hurricanes, turnover chain. They made a splash this weekend. Not defeating, pretty much demolishing. Marty Smith on ESPN would call it a boat race. Yeah, they dismantled number 3 Notre Dame. Didn't look like they deserved to be on the field with them. And maybe the U is back.
I would venture to say that the U is back. It's going to take a lot of time. You don't know exactly where this season is going to go because it's not over yet. Being ranked number 2 overall in the coaches poll.
So where do you think they've done enough to get, considering Georgia lost?
Right.
Do you think they're the number 2 team in tonight's poll that's going to come out?
I think that they are. I think that they should be. I don't know whether they are going to or not. And again, the thing that's sort of weird about the way that they do these polls and release them every week is that it's going to change next. They're going to do it again next week.
It's all recency bias.
Right. And so it's sort of silly, I think, to keep on rehashing it and for people to get upset about where somebody is right now. So if UM were to be 3 instead of 2 right this second. Of course, I don't think that they deserve to be, but is it that big of a deal? Because if you beat Clemson in the ACC championship game, you're going to number 2. You're going to number 1 if Alabama loses.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And yeah, and then there's other factors that, like, people are saying that if Auburn wins out, they'll end up in the playoff, which Auburn's a 2-loss team. So right now they're outside the top 6.
Right.
But there's so many things that could happen.
And there's going to happen because this happens every year. I won't say that it figures itself out, because we end up with a situation where Penn State gets left out of the playoff last year and they're upset about it because they earlier, you know,
right.
And it's like,
and this year there's definitely looking like that 5th team will have an argument.
Yeah. There could be a 5th and a 6th and maybe
team.
even a 7th team.
What's been interesting about the Hurricanes is how many games they've played before the last 2.
Right.
They were not very convincing.
They did not look very convincing. They did not look.
They looked like they were, well, okay, it looked like they weren't going to get past Virginia Tech.
Right.
It was like, dude, this team is not for real, and it's probably going to end here, if not with the Notre Dame game.
The way they played against Toledo and UNC and all of these
and
teams.
Syracuse, and the week before Virginia, or
well,
I don't
they
know,
haven't played Virginia
but
yet.
there was a right before the Virginia Tech game, they squeaked out against someone.
Right, and so, but
North Carolina.
I
it was North
this,
Carolina who's 1-8. They barely beat them.
But is it a thing? Do you think it's possible that they played down to the competition? That they're not necessarily taking it so seriously because they don't feel like they're. I mean, they've had against FSU. There was a couple of wins where they literally barely squeaked it out. They won it at the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean,
like they're playing with fire.
It's a tale as old as time.
Right.
Play up to your competition and down to it.
But everybody, the national media, everyone was saying they are going to lose to Virginia Tech. And even after they beat Virginia Tech, they are going to get stomped by Notre Dame.
Right.
Like, not even they're going to lose to them. It's not going to be close. Notre Dame is going to run the ball all over them. Notre Dame's running for over 300 yards a game. Miami can't stop that. Look, that was as convincing a win against the number 3 team as you're going to see.
It was as convincing, as any program. Like, that win is that kind of win is impressive if it's Alabama doing it against number 1 Georgia. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was super impressive. Came out 4 times. The the Rock was bumping. I wasn't there, but I can only imagine.
And it should have been. They got 4 turnovers. There should have been like 6 or 7. And Kelly's so shook that he's rotating his quarterback in and out.
Yeah, he couldn't. He gave up on the. He gave up on the first quarterback real quick, and then he brought him back in.
Yeah, I mean, he was just rattled, but that's,
so shook.
It's kind of funny. I like to see Brian Kelly upset because, he's definitely going to go take that out on a dog or something when he gets home.
And then,
sorry, dog.
And then finishing up quick hits in the NCAA. There's groomers.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to say groomers. That's a part of my take thing. They made that up.
Okay.
But because every year there's rumors of Gruden going somewhere, so they're groomers. But now, because Tennessee fired Butch Jones, I think it's the second coach that lost their job to being blown out by Missouri. I think when did Florida fire him before the Missouri game or after? I don't know. I think Missouri has cost 2 coaches their jobs.
It might have been after. I don't pay that much close attention.
Right, but
I know
either way,
they definitely got blown out by Missouri.
Either way,
right around the time
they got blown out by Missouri, and Butch Jones is gone. And the Tennessee job that's a big job. Obviously the UF job is open too. Chip Kelly. Some rumblings about Chip Kelly and the Florida job.
Supposedly, it's been agreed to.
And then, it's been agreed to.
Well, I'm talking about, this is like message board chatter. I've seen nothing official. It's like we're on flight watch. Remember when Peyton Manning? It was like, where's Peyton Manning's plane going?
Right.
Like, so there's somebody going, I see a plane going from Bristol, Connecticut to Gainesville later on tonight. You know what I mean? Like,
and then there's reports that John Gruden has contacted people to be a part of his staff,
trying to assemble a staff.
So
in Tennessee.
So that would be cool. And then finally, last thing before quick hits, unless you have anything else.
I do.
Okay, so my last thing is this happened a few weeks ago. We haven't been here. USA Soccer did not qualify for the World Cup. It's like the first time since the 80s. Everyone's kind of bummed out about it. It shouldn't happen. USA should qualify for the World Cup, I think. I know they're not like locks to win it ever, but they should qualify. Italy also didn't qualify,
Yeah.
and the Netherlands didn't qualify. Some big names not in the cup this coming summer.
Yeah, it's disappointing. I won't pretend to be anything more than a casual soccer fan when the World Cup rolls around every 4 years, but it's fun to watch. And if your team is participating, obviously, it's a lot more fun, even when they do eventually lose. Just back to the NCAA. So UCF is still undefeated, 9-0. Victory over UConn, 49-24, something like that. They get Temple next week. They are number 12 in the coaches' polls. They are one of the only four undefeated. They have 2 games left, play the AAC championship if they win their last game against South Florida. But
there's no way they get in.
I don't think so, right? I mean, it's so I'm friends with a lot of people that went to UCF, and there's a lot of people that think that they should have a shot at going in. But I just think that the way that the system is set up, it's impossible.
It's impossible. A non-Power 5 team, as long as there's a couple 1-loss and 2-loss, a 2-loss SEC team is going to get in. Oh, a 2-loss SEC champ is going to get in before an undefeated UCF. Maybe it's wrong, but they're not one of the top 4 teams in the country.
I mean, and I think that it would be interesting to see because they do, and I get the strength of schedule thing, but I mean, they are putting up 500 yards a game. They're scoring 50 points a game. Like they are the highest scoring offense in college football right now.
Hey, you know what? Maybe, and maybe we'll like to see, or maybe we'll see it. The committee look at a team like that and say, hey, look, they've done everything they can. If they're the last undefeated team, if Bama loses and Wisconsin loses, committee might look at them and be like, hey, look, they've done everything they're supposed to do. They've done everything they could do. We can't see what would happen unless we give them a shot.
It's not going to happen.
What? Yeah, you're right. But, yeah, everyone would have to lose.
Listen, I would love to see it.
Yeah,
I would love to see the pipe dream. Hey, what happens if UCF plays Alabama? They did beat Baylor in the Fiesta Bowl a few years ago. I don't know if that was Blake Bortles, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that one. That was a thriller of a game.
The highly talented Blake Bortles.
Yeah. But I don't think that it's going to happen. The way that the system is set up right now, it's not possible. They have their own quality wins against people that are on their. They did what they've done. They did what they had to do. They beat everybody that was on their schedule so far. But they don't have they beat Maryland, but Maryland doesn't seem like they're that good. They beat Memphis. We don't know how good Memphis is going to be by the end of the year. And it's just like, I mean, it stinks that you get a team, because we had this happen before. This happened with Boise State before, right? They ended up for the runner-up game or whatever,
Right.
even though they were undefeated and they were a high-scoring offense too.
Yeah.
So this sort of thing happens.
See, because then it's like, what are you selling to recruits if you can't sell them that going undefeated gets them a shot at the national championship? Like that's just where I look at it, is like, what are you playing for then?
Right. Well,
I think this thing is going to turn into an 18 playoff.
I hope so, but the TV rights don't allow it until I believe at least like 2020 or 2021.
Yeah. Because then it will be so easy where you make it like the NFL. You win your conference you're in, maybe one Power 5 wild card and 2 lower 5, the best 2 lower 5s.
Yeah.
And 1 Power 5 wild card, your Power 5 conference you're in.
There's always going to be a point of contention. There's always, even if we move to 8, we're going to have the 9th team that's going to be like, well, now I'm getting left out.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I think
at least
8 is more fair than 4.
But the fifth team, you feel like can win the national championship. You don't feel like the 9th team can.
You never know. They could get hot. I mean, you never know.
Yeah, you never know.
It is one game,
It is one game.
Happen.
It is one game. All right. That wraps up quick hits, and we'll be back for the last segment, which includes Simple Jack. Welcome back to the couch. You are listening on 247miami.tv. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're listening on YouTube, but you can now listen on 247miami.tv. You can also get that on the TuneIn app. 247miami.tv, broadcasting the events of this amazing city to the world. Follow on Twitter at 247miami, like 247miami on Facebook, and follow 247miami on Instagram. 247miami.tv, that's where you're finding us right now. Also on our YouTube channel, just called The Couch. And now we will get into a segment that we like to call Simple Jack.
But it knows you never go full retard.
Goodbye, Mama. Now you can have ice cream in heaven. I'll see you tonight when I go to bed in my head movies. But this head movie makes my eyes rain.
You went full retard, man. Never go full retard.
That is right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to what I've heard is Megan Fox's favorite segment,
Ooh,
Simple Jack.
overrated.
You're entitled to your opinion, even though it's wrong. This week, Simple Jack comes to us courtesy of WPTV5 out of Port St. Lucie, Florida, the old PSL.
This is gonna be juicy.
A man was arrested last week on a DUI charge in Port St. Lucie after police spotted him riding a lawnmower down a busy street and swerving erratically in and out of traffic. A Port St. Lucie police officer noticed the man, and upon stopping him on his lawnmower, noticed a strong smell of alcohol. Surveillance from a nearby gas station showed him purchasing the beer and leaving on the lawnmower. A DUI investigation was conducted, and police say his blood alcohol level was 3 times the legal limit. And he was charged with driving under the influence.
Yeah, I don't think lawn care equipment should count. I think that.
Did you know that you could get a DUI on a lawnmower?
I mean, I've seen it before. I haven't seen the video of that, but I've seen that video. I've seen the guy on the lawnmower getting pulled over by the cops.
Yeah,
it's always in the backwoods. It's always in the backwoods somewhere. Have you seen the video on the giant scissor lift? And he like has it down and he's driving, and a cop pulls him over and wants him to get off of it. So he lifts the thing up like 50 feet high.
No, I haven't seen that one.
But yeah, I mean, what is the guy really gonna do on his lawnmower? 150?
Maybe run over somebody that's napping in a lawn. I don't know. There's potential hazards there.
There are hazards. Yeah, I mean. Don't be napping on your lawn.
He can't be going fast enough to cause any sort of real vehicular collision. I get it.
Look, he could have been driving his truck. I think he made a conscious, level head decision. Hey, you know what? I'm going to take the lawnmower.
The better of the two?
The better of the two. It could have been a more dangerous, vehicle route.
Because you can get a BY too on a bicycle, even though you're not going to cause anybody but yourself any sort of physical harm.
Like a motorcycle or like a bicycle.
A bicycle. Like on your bicycle, you can get a BY.
It's unbelievable.
You absolutely can.
It's unbelievable.
It used to happen. It happens on college campuses all the time. It's going to hurt even if you run somebody over, you're not going to hurt them that bad. You're probably going to hurt yourself if you drive into a car.
A wall or something.
Yeah, whatever. I meant like a moving car, but whatever. So now we're going to get into the association, the NBA. We don't have any imaging.
No, we don't have any NBA imaging. But I guess now that we're in the heart of, not the heart, but the beginning of the NBA season, we'll look into that next.
We'll get some. We don't have to tell you how the sausage is made. We'll figure it out. So you had one interesting thing that you saw. Well,
yeah, everyone today is talking about the LeBron and his cancer thing. Started when mentioned that the Knicks passed up on Dennis Smith Jr. He meant it more as a compliment to Dennis Smith Jr.
Who did they take instead?
Nicolina.
Frank Nicolina.
Nicolina. I think it was a compliment to Dennis Smith Jr. He was more taking a shot at Phil Jackson.
I understand that.
I don't think he knows the name of the person that the Knicks took instead of Dennis Smith Jr. It wasn't about that guy.
Okay, I understand that, but if you are that guy, it certainly does seem like a slight.
It certainly does. And Enes Kanter, personally, he's like, you're not going to be talking about our guys like that.
Well, also, did you see what happened in the game?
Well, I saw what happened. The subject of the Nicolina kid,
just call him Frank.
Frank. Oh, is that his name, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Frank bumps into LeBron.
LeBron was standing in his way.
LeBron's just standing there. The kid kind of bumps into him. Then he kind of shoves him. Then LeBron just kind of like shrugs his shoulders, like, all right. And then
LeBron knew what he was doing there.
And his Cantor came over and told LeBron, at least I'm not 3-5 in the finals.
Oh, did he?
Oh yeah, you can lip read that one.
See that one.
So yeah, it was a little thing. And then after the game, Cantor's like, you're not gonna come in our building and punk us. Called him princess.
I saw that. Queen.
Yeah, and it's Cantor. He's just one of those guys. He's not gonna take LeBron's crap.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And look, you got to stick up for your teammates. He did what he had to do. LeBron knows what he's doing. He's one of the most calculated athletes of all time with what he is willing to say and what he is not willing to say. He doesn't make these little mistakes. He's not like, oh, I didn't mean it to be a slight at Frank Nicolatina. Like, I'm sure that maybe he didn't think that was going to be the backlash. But look, okay, you're saying whatever you're saying because you're saying whatever you're saying.
And speaking of LeBron's like basketball IQ, today on First Take, Stephen A. Smith, he always just yelling.
Yeah.
Who's the other one? Max
Kellerman.
He talks, he speaks. Stephen A. just yells.
Human being.
But he was like, listen, basketball genius. We all know this. If he's saying you missed on a good one, and guess what? You missed on a good one. Don't argue it.
Oh
but
yeah.
I
like who he recommended that the Heat take.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not
I can't even remember his name.
I don't.
The kid from UConn.
It's Napier.
Yeah, Shabazz. Napier.
I'm not going to get into all that, but I think the whole league knows. I mean, the whole league can see Dennis Smith Jr. is going to be good. So, I mean, whatever. But
Frank could still be good, too. Frank could still be good.
Frank could still be good, and his Cantor could still be good enough to do what he's doing. I mean, you got to do better than
hey, listen, you know
10-5.
You know what you can do
if talk to LeBron like that.
If you're the Knicks, you can just go, how about you look at the standings? Cavs, LeBron, because right now you're in 9th place and we're in 5th.
Speaking of standings,
no, they're in 6th.
The Heat are in 10th place. The Heat are 6 and 7. I think they're gonna get it going here soon. I don't think they're gonna end up under 500. I mean, they're pretty much right at about. They're 6 and 7.
Yeah,
I think by then, when it's all said and done, they're about 4 to 5 games over 500.
I think they're going to be really close. They're going to hover around it. Whether it's going to be enough, like I could easily see 41 and 41. Like I don't think that's a revelatory, shocking statement. Right. A couple of games here or there in either direction would not be shocking to me. The question is whether or not that's going to be enough to make it into the playoffs, or whether you're going to be going into the lottery.
I think they'll make the playoffs. We don't have a lot of time here. A couple things, Boston's on a 12-game win streak.
Correct.
They started 0-2. They're now 12-2.
Even after losing Gordon Hayward to a horrific injury on
Kyrie,
night 1, quarter 1.
Yeah, Kyrie is balling. He's 10-3. They're like the number 2 team.
They're second overall.
In the East.
Magic are in 5th place.
Right.
With some signature wins over whether or not the Heat is a good win or not is debatable, but they've beaten the Cavs and the Spurs.
All right, and here is our second mention of a Ball brother, Lonzo Ball. A lot of people are saying that he's a bust, actually, which is probably too soon to call him that.
It's too soon to make any sort of declaration about anybody's NBA career when we are 11 or 12 games into it.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't tell me if one rookie is really good or not. I can tell you that looking at
Ben Simmons is good.
Yeah, but I mean, okay. Yes, Ben Simmons is good. I'm willing to go ahead and go out on a limb and say that. But if somebody's playing poorly, you can't say, okay, they suck and they're not good at basketball and they're a bust. And I'm not even that big a fan of the Balls. It's not because of Lonzo. It's because of his dad.
Oh, of course.
And I'm fine.
Like Lonzo.
And I'm fine with all of it, but it's just like it's too much. The saturation, like I can't take it. Like I want it all off of my screen.
Dude, in my mind, how level-headed Lonzo seems.
Yeah.
Considering LeVar, and you could tell that
LaMelo.
LaMelo is a diva like his dad. But it is unbelievable how level-headed Lonzo Ball is, and I'll root for him. I'm gonna root for him. The only reason I wouldn't root for him is because that will keep his dad going.
Right, but his dad's going to stay relevant no matter what. You know what I mean? Because his dad's going to make himself relevant. He's going to keep on talking, and people will continue to do it. Anyways, enough with that.
You've been listening to The Couch.
We'll see you guys next week. Holler.
24/7 Miami.tv.